Hello, my name is Cameron Nicol and I was born on the 30th of May 2003. This is my 300th video on YouTube, and for this I'm going to talk about my life. Most people do draw my life, but I'm just going to talk about my short life right now. So, like I said, I was born on the 30th of May 2003 to my mum and dad. We lived in a small cottage on the outskirts of Kinross. And it was good. It was a decent cottage. I mean, I don't remember much, but it was fine to live in. But then disaster struck. Somewhere around 2004, when I was one and a half, my dad left. It was a mutual decision, and he was absent. So, my mother and I were alone until I met my stepfather, who loved my mum very much. And he was like this really great guy because I was really young. Plus, he took me to Edinburgh Zoo, so after my mum met my stepdad, I started primary school, and I was not the best. I was average at best. So let's just leave it at that. As the years went on, things started to get worse in my life. In terms of my medical life, I suffered a terrible disease, and I was on death's door. Imagine me, like this 3-year-old on death's door, me and like these 5 other children, and I was one of the lucky ones that survived. They had to take out all of my blood, and there's still a visible scar on my lower side of where they stuck a tube in to pump in the new blood. And it's just happy glad that I'm alive. When I first started primary school, I was fairly decent. I had moved previously with my mum and stepdad to a wee cottage, to a wee house on a street in Kinross, and because obviously when the year 2007 came along, my mum had a baby with my stepfather, who became my little sister, which was one of the happiest days of my life. I didn't have many relatives at the time. I had my dad, I had my stepfather, my mother, my sister, my dad, who was like my hero growing up. He was like just amazing. We would do everything. We'd go bowling, we'd go to the cinema, I'd go over to his house. Obviously, my dad lived in this small house, like wee bungalow in Perth, because he worked for SSE. And leaving my mum took a toll on my dad. It really did. But eventually he moved into a flat and everything was okay. And obviously I had my granddad, I had my uncle, and then I had my mum's brother who was my uncle, and he eventually, sometime around in 2009, got married, and this new woman became my aunt. So yeah, I had a really good life so far. I also had my mum's dad and mother, who was my granddad. When I hit primary 3, I met my best friend. He was this lonely kid and no one would talk to him. I was this kid who wasn't very well liked by most people, and I think that's one of the things we had in common, just the two of us. He's also one of the people who introduced me to like the Xbox and Minecraft, and I'd like to thank him for that. And he stuck by me all these years. He may not know who he is, but thanks for that. This person is not he's my best friend, but he's not my oldest friend. My oldest friend lived on the same street I did in the cottage when my mum and dad were still together. So you know, he's my oldest friend, and if you know who you are. So he obviously, you know, after I went to primary school, he a few years later moved into these wee houses that were near my house. So good friend. In the context of the rest of my life, it was pretty decent. I had a pretty good life out. And obviously in the summer holidays, my dad was amazing. We'd go on holiday like once a week every summer. We do like all these crazy things, and it was just the best part of my life. But in primary four, I made an arch enemy. She was this. I thought she was like this really really nice girl, and she was like really really smart and junk, but she was not. Underneath that smiling exterior held a monster which I regretted to this day. So much so that I could not bear to put it in words. All I could do is put it in pen. And who would thought our relationship as enemies would start with just a handshake and a box of matches? If that answers anyone's question. Because obviously there's a lot of people out in the community who don't like me. Like there was this one guy in primary one. He was like this really really big kid. He's not this other big kid because this other big kid's like a good friend of mine. And if you know who you are, shout out to you. This kid was like awful. Kids would call him names, and he would just lash out. So obviously, after my sister was born, my mum quit her job to stay home and look after my sister, and thusly she started up a child caring service with her two friends who would really become like very close friends with my mum, and they had this wee kid whose parents were going through a divorce and whose dad was in jail, so he also became one of my best friends. So thank you. And obviously, I was still going to primary school. My sister wasn't. She was still very young, so she would help out with my mum and such around the house. She would be, and obviously, it was just a really good time. However, when my mum first started childcaring, there was this kid. I don't want to say his name, but he was like this wee kid, and he was a really nice kid. But then one day, I think life just decided to crap all over him. He was like really, and I felt sorry for him, but he just flashed out, and my mum just never wanted to see him again. He threw a lunchbox at my head, and it's probably one of the, like, I've got bleeds, scars and bruises for the amount of things I've went through, but I still keep on making these videos. So after primary school, like obviously high school would come next, and it would be pretty good moving out of primary school, away from my enemies. But no, it wasn't. It was just going back to the same old stuff. School was boring. Obviously, I still visited my dad. My dad was just this really good guy, and I don't regret him leaving because eventually he became my hero, and the two of us have a really close relationship. He and I are perfectly identical in more ways than one. So obviously, as my high school life continued, life got more worse. My first year of high school is not something I want to remember. Remember, I was in S1 when I started, and can't remember what age I was. I started in 2015. Obviously, it was not a very good year for me. Like, high school is just not as easy as you may think it is, and I was not well liked. People thought I was something I had no intention of being, and high school kids are just a-holes. I hate to say it, but they are. But obviously, high school presented like all these these crazy things, like all these new things to me, like home economics and drama, and obviously I was very much inspired by everything new. I'm a big movie buff. I've seen most of the movies, like some of the classics, like the original Star Wars, Indiana Jones. I've seen most of the Disney films. I know most of Pixar, but I also really like some action films like Mission Impossible and the James Bond films. But obviously, drama is really important to me it's helped out in my YouTube career. Like I've created all these unique characters, and I just like making videos, and I hope to continue. The high school was not easy for me, and I did think, I thought about it, and I thought about some things teenagers like me think about, but I just thought, that's so stupid, you're an idiot for thinking it. But obviously I have all these people who really like me, I've got all these friends, and a lot of them would miss me when I'm gone. So yeah, I'm never thinking about it ever again. I love life, and I'm really lucky that I've got this second chance. And my best friend's also very lucky because he suffered a car, getting run over by a car and miraculously survived. I didn't find out until the end of the day what had happened, and I was like, "Jeez, is he okay?" Like I was expressing some real concern because this was my best friend. Is he okay? Is he alive? It was like really intense for me. So back to my first year of high school, more disaster struck. Oh god, I hate to tell this. My stepdad's father died. He was cremated and we spreaded his ashes in a local burn so it could float to the ocean. Then my mum's father died as well. He was buried in our gravesite, and it took a toll on my mum, I could just see it. So it was not a good year. But eventually, you have to move on with life. Like, I know death is like a pain in the ass, and I know it sucks, and sometimes it just has to suck, but you have to keep moving. You have to keep positive. Otherwise, you're just letting it win. And that's what I did. So I just kept being positive. Like, I was not going to let death win, so I kept being positive, for my mum. So, but then more good news happened. My dad met his girlfriend, who would become a stepmom, and we obviously moved out of our flat into this house. And I don't deal with change well, like moving to new places. I don't deal with it well, but it's just one of those things you have to get over, and I did. So, obviously afterwards, my dad married my stepmom, and this was this big wedding, and I was the best man, and all as such, and it was just like an amazing time. Like I'll always remember it. And obviously, a year after that, my brother was born, and he's just amazing. He looks up to me. He may be only 3 years old at the time of this video, but he's just amazing, and I can't wait. But life is just full of surprises. So far, currently in my life, I've left high school. I've accepted college courses, waiting for my exam results to come in August. And obviously this is a big deal for me because I'm going to be moving on to the next stage of my life. But I've watched my sister grow, my brother's grown up for most of his life. I've seen my dog die, I've seen friends come and go, lifelong enemies been, away. I've seen one kid who kind of thinks I'm a frenemy. I thought he was gay, he was not, he was bisexual. I've been trying to get girlfriends, I've been looking for relationships. It's just all been like, life is like just a wibbly wobbly mass of, this or that. So currently in my life, the coronavirus has happened. I recommend you all stay inside. I still work at my job, taking care of old folks, which may not be the best job right now, but it is very helpful for those people. I'm still waiting. I exercise more now. I try and stay in contact with some of my friends. I hope they'll stay in contact with me, and generally, it's just one crazy life I've had. Ups, downs, mostly downs, but You just have to pull through, because that's how life works. But as I've watched my brother and sister grow these past couple of years, I've realised, come October, I can't wait to do it all over again. And that's my life so far. So thank you all for watching. And for the final part, I'm Cameron J. Nicol, signing off. And I just want to say thank you to my subscribers, my supporters, and my family who have helped me pull through. And thanks to all my followers here online. A lot of time and effort has gone into making these videos, and I hope to continue on. So, until we meet again, this is Cameron Nicol, signing off.